Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth, and in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about his mother was controlling, manipulative, and narcissistic. Moms have such a major impact on who we are and our childhood. It's our understanding of love and connection and the major person that we bond with in our life. Now, I'm not trying to discredit dads. Of course, we have a major impact on our kids too. But when you think about a mom, it's really the primary nurturing figure that you have in your life, in your world. And so it's our blueprint and our understanding of love. And when we have parents that are unhealthy, they struggle with anxiety, depression, mental health issues, maybe they work all the time, maybe they have trauma, it really has an impact on their ability to give us the amount of love and affection that we need growing up. And then we have a hard time trusting other people. And for many of us, we have partners that have parents that are neglectful, narcissistic, abusive, toxic. And so that has a serious impact on their ability to give you a healthy relationship. So when you're choosing a lifetime partner, you really do want to consider what is their family like? What is their family life like growing up? How were things for them? Because it's going to impact their issues with anxiety, depression, mental health, their view of the world, the view of love, how trustworthy people are, and it's going to come up with you and them. So I've got an email coaching today that if you have a partner that struggled with their family life, this might be helpful to you, okay? So this couple met in 2021 Christmas time, and they were both teenagers, okay? They met one night at his job, and he asked for her number, and they started dating shortly after that. They were together for nearly 3 years. Now, she says, he wasn't just my boyfriend, he was my best friend, and we were truly in love. Early on, there was one issue that ultimately ended our relationship. His mother. She was controlling, manipulative, and narcissistic. Because he relied on her financially, she'd have immense power over his life. Remember, he's a teenager. And by extension, our relationship. For almost the entire time we were together, she dictated pretty much everything. I grew resentful of her, especially as she began accusing me of bullying him, among other hurtful things. Yeah, meanwhile, she's the one that's probably bullying him, controlling him, manipulating him. But what hurt the most is that he never defended me. Remember, he's just a teenager, maybe in his early 20s, towards the end of the relationship. Instead, he kept promising that things would change once he turned 18 and then when he graduated. I waited, but nothing ever changed. Months passed and the strain became unbearable. We argued constantly, repeating the same conversations with no resolution. Okay, so this is important. If you really think about how she's describing this relationship, she's talking about all these horrible things that are happening here, right? To the point where it was unbearable, right? And for something to get unbearable, it must really be weighing on the situation, especially when she's asking him to work on these things and nothing's getting any fixed or resolved or anything. We argued constantly, repeating the same conversations with no resolution. I begged him to leave for college. I just wanted a relationship free from his mother's control. Instead, he continued to tell me that things will change in time and to trust him. I felt exhausted, unchosen, and invisible. I had always put him first, enduring cruelty from his mother, and for once, I wanted him to choose me. Okay, so he's not individuated yet. He's very young. He's reliant on his parents and the mom financially, maybe to pay for college. And so he's not going to stand up for himself because he's afraid of getting cut off and not being able to take care of himself. This is why we always talk about individuation. And this doesn't happen at this age. It only kind of starts to happen, but it really happens in like the mid to later 20s, where people have figured out their career, who they are, their own belief system, what they value, the things that they're choosing for their life. So you were wanting him to be way beyond where most people would be. And it was causing you a lot of pain because things were a lot different than you were hoping they would be. During this time, I developed feelings for someone at my university. With him, I felt free, unconstrained in a way I'd never had before. I was honest with my boyfriend about them. Let's give the boyfriend a name. Let's call him Steve. I was honest with Steve about them. Steve was still the person I wanted. Shortly after, in the summer of 2024, after relentless fighting, see, this is going to get exhausting, I ended our relationship on his graduation. I know how awful that was, but I couldn't keep it going. I moved on with Henry way too quickly, and it hurt Steve deeply. Well, you could totally understand why she left. Going to another person right away was like softening the blow of this breakup. She didn't even really want to leave Steve, but she couldn't take that it wasn't changing. So, what wasn't right here is that she was using this other guy as a cushion. What did I call him? Henry? As a cushion with the struggles of Steve. And, it's like when it's not going well, you're using this other person as a backup plan because you don't want to be alone. Obviously, that's not the way to go in these situations, but many people will do it. If you're not okay with being alone and you're not secure and confident with yourself, this is what happens. So this is why you got to work on yourself. This is one of the reasons. I will always regret the decision. Steve left for college, which was a stab in the back, and my new relationship with Henry quickly turned sour. You see? Another example, but this is from her perspective. But what do I tell you all the time? She was the dumper. She thought it was going to go great with someone else, the rebound, Henry, and it quickly soured. Just like I say happens all the time, but we're hearing it from the dumper's perspective. Now, in this particular situation, she dumped Steve not because she wanted to, but because she couldn't take it anymore. Relentless fighting. He wasn't putting her first. The mom was really toxic, being cruel to her. She felt exhausted, unchosen, invisible. So in this situation, it's not like it came out of nowhere. She was begging him for a long time to change these things. I reached out to Steve several times, but he had grown cold as he had a new girlfriend. I never stopped loving him, but I deserved the consequences that came with my actions. Yes, I can understand why you feel like that, but hold on. He wasn't being Mr. Wonderful himself. He was allowing you to be mistreated. He was neglecting you. He was mistreating you. He was ignoring your feelings. He wasn't putting you first in a lot of ways. You had a lot of reasons yourself for not wanting to stay. When I finally accepted Steve was done with me, 6 months passed with no contact. Until one night, 2 months ago, he reached out to me. Oh, look at that. 6 months. And then he reached out of nowhere. No surprise. See, guys, if you think about what this story is showing you, it's a lot of what I tell you all the time. And we're looking at it from the dumper's perspective, right? She left this guy because she couldn't take it anymore. She found a rebound. The rebound quickly soured. And what did she want? She wanted her ex back all this time, but he didn't want her. And so what happens? He gets into another relationship, and probably when it falls apart 6 months later, he reaches out. And what happens? He told me everything I wanted to hear. He said he would always love me, that he had never stopped thinking about me, and he needs to marry me. He assured me that nothing was worth losing me again. You're shocked? I'm not. It happens all the time. A week later, after promising to come see me, Steve called and said he needed to be alone, that his grandfather, his mom's dad, was furious and he can't be with me because of it. Huh? Again, we're seeing a theme of individuation. You're not going to be with the woman that you want to marry because your grandpa is angry. Here we have more individuation issues with the same person. She says, I never saw him again. Just like that. I wailed over the phone and I told him to promise he'd never, ever come back. He promised. 2 weeks after he left, I sent one email telling him I regret what I said. He never answered, and I have been in no contact since. I'm devastated. Do you think he will come back, even though I told him not to? He has been home since the beginning of December and nothing. All right, so she sent him an email in the middle of November, which I'm not going to share because it would give away too much, but I'll go over some of the main ideas. Basically, she said, I regret telling you to never come back, and that wherever she goes, she's on his mind all the time. She can't stop thinking about him and the things they did together. She gave a bunch of different examples. I miss everything that we did together, and just basically put herself out there. So, look, he is very young. Clearly, there's a lot of family issues going on here. The fact that he comes back after 6 months, tells you he wants to be with you, and then can't be with you because his grandpa is angry, and I don't know what the whole story is. That's all she wrote about that. I was like, wait, what? That's pretty horrible. But he needs to grow up. He needs to be a man here. Like, if you want to be with somebody and you love someone and want to marry them, you don't reject them because your papa says, no, you can't be with them. You say, sorry, papa, who did you choose to marry? Did you choose to be with the woman that you loved? Well, I'm going to do the same thing for myself. Sorry, you have to stand up for yourself. This is individuation. And clearly, this is a major, major component of your situation. He allowed you to be mistreated, maybe even abused emotionally by his mother. He allowed her to control this relationship. I'm sure a lot of it is because of his age and feeling that he is financially dependent on her so he can go to college. And this happens a lot. But how can you be in this situation? You can't. You were exhausted. You felt unchosen. You felt invisible. You felt that he's put his mother first, that she was enduring cruelty from the mother. And I believe her. But you can't keep allowing yourself to be mistreated and then blame yourself when you can't take it anymore. Yeah, it would have been better had you not jumped to another guy after this fell apart. And it would have been healthier if you dealt with this breakup first. But as far as I can tell here, you didn't cheat. And you had been neglected for so long. It's not like he was being a great partner and you were looking for someone else. You were begging him to make these changes for a long time, and he wouldn't do it. He didn't care what you had to say. He didn't care how you felt. That's where you should have ended it. Ideally, if you want my opinion, you should have just said, look, this isn't working. I can't take this anymore. If you can figure out a way to separate from your family and put our relationship first, reach out to me. I'd like to try and work on this again. But that would have been the healthy thing for you to do, not to cushion it with this other guy, Henry, and then, it made it easier to leave the situation. I get it. It's not easy. And you're really young. And, how do we know any better at this age? I mean, you're extremely young here. You're barely out of your teens. Many of us have no idea what we're doing. And, he has to figure out what he wants and what's important to him. And does he want to lose someone that he said he wants to marry because his grandpa doesn't like it? If that's the case, you really don't want him as a partner, because he's never going to put you in your relationship first. You want a partner who's going to put you and your relationship first, not mama or papa or your Uncle Steve or your crazy Uncle Al or the neighbors or a squirrel that lives across the street, whatever. You need someone that cares about you and puts that relationship first and takes care of it. And he wasn't taking care of it. Now, I know you're beating yourself up, but leave him alone. Focus on the things that you can control. Think about what would happen if he comes back and he doesn't individuate, how life would be. Could you be in that situation if he continues to treat you the way that he did? I don't think so. I think you'll be miserable. So really, you're looking to see if he can grow up, mature, make some changes, stand up for himself, and be his own man. If he does, then I think this could work out. But if he continues to let his mom run his life, then he doesn't really have much control over it anyway. And one of the first questions that Margaret used to ask is, tell me about your mother, and figuring out if that person makes their own decisions and is individuated. So in this case, he's got to get that going before he can give you anything healthy. All right? So hopefully this one's been helpful to you. If you want to get my help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. That's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.